Welcome back to this next video in the Unlocking Your Crypto Journey educational series. Today, we're going to be talking blockchain. And to help me do that, I brought in Sonny Pendu. He is an Ethereum developer and a friend of mine. I've been part of his community for a very long time, and he has a lot of knowledge he's going to impart today with regard to blockchain. So let's get into this video. Welcome back to this next video in my educational series. Today, we're going to be talking about blockchain. And to help me do that, I brought this guy, Sonny Pendu. I'll tell you what, he is an Ethereum developer. I have been part of his community for, honestly, almost as long as I've been in crypto. Sonny, thanks for being part of this video today. I really appreciate you being here.
No problem. I'm really happy to be here. Happy to help.
Well, I'll tell you, this guy is gonna have the answers for what we need today. Now, we're going to talk blockchain, and honestly, it's not going to be super extensive. I will put additional resource links in the description, so make sure you go ahead and check those out. But we're going to try and keep this a really broad overview. So I've prepped Sonny that I've again engaged Venice AI to give me the, hey, tell me it like I'm 5, tell me like I'm a teenager, tell me like I'm adult. So we're going to play those right now, and we'll kind of talk through it with Sonny and let Sonny to, educate the AI a little bit.
I'll probably agree with them. I do like AI a lot. It'd be interesting to see how it explains it at different levels, I think, for people. Really useful.
Yes. And guys, again, links to everything for Sonny in the description. And boy, does he use AI. You gotta go check that stuff out. He really does. All right. So let's start with this one. AI asking Venice AI to explain blockchain to me like I'm 5. This is what it had to say.
All right, imagine you and your friends are playing a game where you all have a big notebook. In this game, whenever someone does something important, like sharing a toy or helping someone, everyone writes it down in their notebook. Now, this notebook is special because it's not just any notebook, it's a blockchain notebook. Here's how it works. 1. Blocks. Every time something important happens, like sharing a toy, it gets written down on a page in the notebook. We call each page a block. 2. Chain. These blocks are connected together in order like a chain. So if you look at the notebook, you can see all the things that happened, one after the other. 3. Everyone has a copy. The cool part is that everyone in the game has their own copy of the notebook. Whenever a new block is added, everyone updates their notebook to match. 4. No one can cheat. Because everyone has the same notebook, no one can change what's already been written without everyone else knowing. If someone tries to cheat, everyone will notice because their notebooks won't match anymore. So, a blockchain is like a big, special notebook that everyone can see and trust, where everyone writes down important things that happen. It's used for keeping track of things like money or special items, so everyone knows who owns what and can trust that it's fair.
Okay. I mean, nobody likes cheaters, right? So having the blockchain as part of your game, I guess, is pretty good. Sonny, anything you want to kind of expand on or add as that 5-year-old description that Venice AI gave to us?
I think that was quite a long description for a 5-year-old.
I know, right?
It did try its best. Maybe not the most useful. Maybe not the most useful so far. I'm interested to hear what else it has to say.
Fair enough.
It was a good analogy, but for a 5-year, I think it was a bit much for a 5-year-old.
All right. I asked it to give me an example for the teenager too. And so yeah. Let's see what it came up with for that.
Sure. Let's dive into blockchain with an example that a teenager can relate to. Imagine you and your friends are running a school store, and you decide to use blockchain to keep track of your inventory and sales. Here's how it would work. 1. Transactions. Every time a sale is made or new inventory arrives, it's recorded as a transaction. For example, if you sell a pack of gummies for $2, that's a transaction. 2. Blocks. Each transaction is grouped with others into a block. Let's say a block contains 10 transactions, including the gummy sale. This block gets a unique code, or hash, That ensures its data can't be changed without changing the hash. 3. Chain. Now this block is added to the chain. It includes the hash of the previous block, creating a link. If the previous block was about restocking pencils, its hash is now part of the gummy sale block. 4. Decentralization. Instead of keeping this record in a single notebook, you and your friends each have a copy on your phones. Everyone can see the same record of transactions, ensuring transparency. 5. Consensus. When a new block is created, the network of friends must agree on its validity. Maybe you all vote, or perhaps one friend is designated to check the transactions. This ensures everyone trusts the new block before it's added to the chain. 6. Immutability. Once a block is added, it's part of the chain. If someone tries to change the gummy sale from $2 to $1, they'd have to change the hash, which would break the chain. Everyone would notice, and the change would be rejected. In this example, blockchain ensures that your school store's records are secure, transparent, and tamper-proof. No one can cheat, and everyone can trust the system. This is similar to how blockchain works for cryptocurrencies and other applications, providing a decentralized and secure way to record and verify transactions.
I don't know, Sonny. Did that one, was that a little bit better? What's your opinion on that one?
I really like that one. I think that was, and I think obviously we're asking the AI to explain it to a 5-year-old. It's a difficult topic
Heck yeah.
to get your head around. Like, to explain it to a 5-year-old, I don't think it's a really easy task. To explain it to a teenager or somebody, in that sense, I think that explanation was good, not just for teenagers, but for adults too. It's a nice, simple way to break down the technicalities into usable bits of information that you can understand why are these things here in crypto, and what's the point of each thing, without having to know in too much technical detail, how they all run and how they all work. So I like that one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Everybody can kind of relate to the retail kind of store thing. And most high schools and colleges obviously have that, although teenagers aren't in college yet, so I guess I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, let's give the AI one more shot with the adult version. Now, just for the sake of transparency, I asked it to give me a description talking to an adult who is new to the space and has nothing more than a high school education. So that way, it was like, okay.
I was just wondering, it sounded a bit strange when you said we had an adult version. I was wondering what kind of adult version we were going to get. So thanks for explaining that, Keith.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think for the people who might be coming to this video, not everybody understands cryptocurrency. Again, that's what this is supposed to be for, kind of helping them in. And so maybe you got that base level, you graduated high school, and now you're thrown into the real world, and here you are.
Yeah. So it's all right, guys. It's not rated 18. Everybody can listen along.
Yeah, exactly. All right, here we go. Let's give the AI a last shot here, and then we'll go from there.
Certainly, let's explore blockchain technology in a way that's accessible to an adult with a high school education who is new to the space. Blockchain is a decentralized, distributed ledger technology that records transactions across a network of computers. Here's a breakdown. 1. Decentralization. Unlike traditional systems where a central authority, like a bank or government, controls the data, blockchain is maintained by a network of computers called nodes. Each node has a copy of the entire blockchain, ensuring no single entity has control. 2. Blocks and transactions. Transactions are grouped into blocks. Each block contains a list of transactions, a timestamp, and a unique code called a hash. For example, if you're using blockchain to track property ownership, each transfer of ownership would be a transaction. 3. Chain of blocks. Blocks are linked together in a sequence, forming a chain. Each new block includes the hash of the previous block, creating a continuous and unbreakable chain. This structure ensures that once a block is added, it's extremely difficult to alter. 4. Consensus mechanisms. When a new block is proposed, the network of nodes must agree on its validity. This is achieved through consensus mechanisms like proof of work, POW or Proof of Stake POS. In POW, nodes, miners compete to solve complex mathematical puzzles to validate transactions. In POS, nodes are chosen to validate transactions based on the amount of cryptocurrency they hold and are willing to stake. 5. Immutability and transparency. Once a block is added to the chain, it's nearly impossible to alter without changing all subsequent blocks. This immutability, combined with the transparency of having multiple copies of the ledger, ensures that the data is secure and trustworthy. 6. Applications beyond cryptocurrency. While blockchain is best known for powering cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, its potential extends far beyond. It can be used for supply chain management, digital identity verification, voting systems, and more. For instance, a company could use blockchain to track the origin and journey of its products, ensuring transparency and accountability. Blockchain offers a secure, transparent, and decentralized way to record and verify transactions, reducing the need for intermediaries and increasing trust among participants. As you delve deeper into the space, you'll discover the vast potential of this technology to disrupt and innovate various industries.
Okay, minus its pronunciation of a couple of things.
Yeah, we can overlook that, of course.
Yeah. What do you think? I didn't think that was that bad for a complex topic. Again, it's a complex topic.
It's my. I tell you what it is. It was clinically perfect. That the last answer was very dry and clinically perfect. If I was to look at all three answers that the AI has given us so far, the clear winner for me is the teenage answer, because the AI gave us not just an explanation of the technology, but it also gave us a real world example where we could imagine along with the AI and build a story, see the vision and where the different parts of the technology become useful. I think, and I'm a developer, so I try and always be cautious about being over technical with things, because things that may, like the adult explanation, for me it required already some knowledge of cryptocurrency. It required some knowledge of terms like distributed ledger technology. The AI in
Good
that
point.
case, it assumed that if you're an adult, when it was given the adult description, it assumed that these people would already understand those terms. So I think that's why I favoured the teenage answer in that sense, because it was ultimately trying to teach somebody who didn't know the technical terms or what different words in crypto already meant, and it helped them with a visual idea as to, look, this is, this is how it's going to secure your school book or the sales that are happening there. So I think that was the win. I think that's important to, when we're trying to explain crypto, is sometimes not to go too deep into the
Into the
clinical.
weeds.
Yeah, and into the clinical. It's I think that's something that people will come to learn, and over time they'll find themselves will leave that journey. But the important thing is to set the spark, in the sense of, okay, how is this going to help us? What's it, what is crypto even about? What's it do for the world? What are the good things that it can do for the world? If we can spark off people's interest in those things, I think then it's just an education process from there. But it sparked the need to learn, or the
I
want to learn.
agree. I agree. And for those who are just jumping in to this training series, this educational series, in this video, there's also another video that I did with BC Port Corp, where we actually talk about that. I tried to break up cryptocurrency and blockchain to give different perspectives, and in that other video we talk about what is cryptocurrency, and a lot of what Sonny just explained right here about educating people, what's the future of this, that kind of thing, is in that video. So please go and check that out. Link will be in the description. But Sonny, let's add the human element to this.
Yeah.
As a developer, if you were going to try to come in with a base explanation for the average person, I don't know, where would you start? What would you say?
I think we were a little bit unfair to the AI, in the sense
Okay.
of we've asked it we've asked it, can you explain blockchain and cryptocurrency, which is such a broad aspect.
That's
So
true.
generally, I would like to find out a person's interest and try and relate the conversation some way to something that they can understand easily or relate with. For example, computers is a good one. I find that many people use computers. So explaining about the blockchain in terms like, well, if you imagine a block to be a folder on your computer, and
Oh,
in this folder we store all of the transactions. Once the transactions are stored and that folder's full, we lock it with a fingerprint or a digital signature, and that signature then starts off the next folder, and we've got a whole chain sequence. There's again, depending. I like to break it down in a different way that could be understood in an easy way by the person I'm talking to, which is again hard when we're here on YouTube trying to explain to a
right.
multitude of people. But
Exactly.
if it's possible to get the one-on-one, then I think it's always nice to find something that person can associate or relate with. And if we're talking generally, then I try and just keep it as non-technical as possible and try and help people understand, look, what's it all about? Because people will learn different levels of technology over time.
That's
The
true.
the the, the thing is to have a reason to look into it in the first place. Sometimes, majority of time, the reasons is money motivated. It
Right.
starts out to be, everybody wants to get into crypto to
Yeah. I want
become
to be
the next
rich,
crypto
man. Yeah.
millionaire. Everyone wants to be rich. But if that's a ploy that brings people in to then have to learn a little bit about the technology, then I think that's why crypto keeps on growing and growing, because it's not just a ploy of let's become
Right.
millionaires. There's an actual real technology set
Oh,
that's
this.
useful to the world behind it. So
Yep. Good use case and good future use cases.
yeah,
Sonny, I've never heard that description like you just said about relating it to a computer and a file on your computer and then a fingerprint to
yeah.
lock it. That was amazing. You just taught me something here and in this video. Thank you so much.
No,
I mean,
that's what it's about. Putting it
good.
into a context that someone can understand, I think, is the important thing. And
Yes.
we could sit here and talk about Solidity code and different functions and what's this function doing. And firstly, the majority of people would be bored by that, and secondly, the majority of people probably wouldn't understand, what it actually meant as well. So I think that is for the individual. How much do you want to learn about the technology? Everybody needs to learn a little bit because even if you're in for the money, you still need to learn how to get the money from your wallet to your bank account, or there's a learning curve that happens.
Of
What I've
course.
found, I've been in crypto for I think nearly 10 years. I'm still on the learning curve. We're still
Oh,
learning
hell
as
yeah.
we go. It doesn't end. I think the more you learn, the more you realize there is to learn.
Yep, exactly. And not for nothing, the technology changes all
Of
the
course.
time. And
Yeah.
and so you need to continue learning. And honestly, you've heard me say it a number of times in this series. I'm going to probably be refreshing a lot of these videos, so keep an eye for these because things change. Things just
Yeah.
change. But Sonny, as we go forward, could we use now Sonny had no idea I was going to ask this, so hopefully he'll indulge me here. But
Of course.
as we go forward, could we use your computer analogy to maybe explain blockchain a little bit, and then
Of
I'd love to
course.
ask you a couple of developer questions toward the end. Is that okay?
Of course. Yeah. No. Listen. Everything that we're saying here is shared information, knowledge. It's all about sharing. So 100%.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, if let's keep that going. If that's how you kind of explain a block, which I think was great, by the way. If
Yeah.
you were then going to take this person who now, okay, I get computers, I get the file, I get the lock it. Now,
Yeah.
how would you move next?
Now, the next step, I would associate decentralization and try and explain the difference between something that's centralized and decentralized, and give that person an example, like the AI did. I, I'm quite crude with the example that I give normally, so but I'm going to run it out to you guys, and you could maybe tone it down for your own explanation. But I look at it like this: I give the example of banks, because majority of people we talk to, they have a bank account.
Yep.
So let's not say any names of a bank, but let's just say there's a bank and we all bank with this bank and they're called World Bank. So this World Bank that we're banking with, all of our data is on their servers somewhere. Maybe World Bank around the world has 7 to 10 different data centers where their servers physically live in the world on the planet. So ultimately, if something were to happen to all 10 of their data servers simultaneously, and I say crude, like let's say if there was an attack and somebody blew up all 10 locations where World Bank servers existed, or let's say there's a natural disaster in those particular places, if we want to tone it down,
No, that's a good.
and
That's
there's
yep.
a flood in all of these 7 to 10 locations simultaneously, all of that data goes to pot. It's lost, unrecoverable. That's because it's centralized. Where we use a decentralized system, instead of all of that data being in 10 locations across the world, and using Bitcoin as the main example, shout out to BC Corp, the distributed ledger technology and the nodes, everybody who is mining Bitcoin around the world is creating that technology. They are the servers in the system.
Right.
So there's no 10 places you can go and flood to stop that system from working. In fact, you'd need to go and find millions of places around the world to have a little flood for that whole system to stop. That's the power
And there'd be a
of,
lot bigger concerns if that was happening.
of course, yeah, of course. So it's just a point of it's much, it's much more distributed.
Yes.
Again, explaining distributed ledger technology in a simple way, so that people can understand. Okay, that's the benefit that we get from it. That's why we're talking about crypto as if it's better than banks, because banks have this flaw. And that's not to go. We could, Keith, we could sit here and talk about the censorship resistance of,
Yes.
but I think we go a little bit deep with that. We're talking about what power, what help does it give to people. That's what decentralized tech, in my view, that's what it brings for people.
Okay. That. You know what? I should have just started out with Sunny and never mind the AI.
No, it's always good to have a little helping hand from AI as well.
It's funny. No, it was Sunny. That was excellent. That was excellent. And now, because you brought up like Bitcoin's decentralization and so on and so forth. And I know the AI brought up consensus, and it's kind of funny because that's probably one of those terms that like the average person probably doesn't even understand. It doesn't make sense, right? I mean, I guess depending on what your background is. But anyway, how would you explain that? Like, because right now you develop on Ethereum, which was originally a proof of work mechanism, now proof of stake. And you just mentioned Bitcoin, which is still proof of work. How would you explain that to the average person? Because I'm going with you for the win here on this.
Firstly, with this person that I've just been talking to and we're explaining to, when we got to this point, my next piece of advice or not financial advice, but the next thing I would say to this person is, at this point now, if you understand and see what we're talking about, now is the time to go and put $50 worth into crypto. Whichever one you choose, be it Ethereum, be it Bitcoin. If we're assuming that this person doesn't hold any crypto,
right?
I would say at this point, not a large amount, but put something, $20, $50, whatever amount it is from your pocket, put it in. Because until you don't actually make that step, you're not going to pay attention enough. But what I found is if people have even just a very small amount of their own money invested, it sparks the interest for them to now take the time to start paying attention a little bit. Has it gone up? Has it gone down? Is it moving? Why is it moving? What's making this go up and down? But until you don't actually have some tiny little bit of real world experience of something doing that, I think it's very difficult to make the next step. So then we get to the point where this person's bought $50 or $20 worth of Bitcoin, and it's been a little while, and they've seen that okay, this is moving up and down and whatnot.
Right.
And then me being an Ethereum developer, I'm going to tell them, listen, Bitcoin was great, for what it is as a start, as the first example of this distributed ledger technology, but there's this thing called Ethereum where we use the same principles, but instead of just being able to manage money, now on Ethereum we can write programs like you do for your computer. We can write a program, or developers can write programs that run on Ethereum with the same distributed, the same decentralized technology as we've had with Bitcoin. So that really opens up cryptocurrency now to be able to do a lot of things other than what just Bitcoin can do. So throughout the conversation then of explaining that, we would generally then come to somewhere where the topic of consensus would come up. Consensus and governance normally I would lump together.
That's a good point. Yep.
But in that sense, it's all about power to the people. If you're a part of the system, you get to decide how that system is run. Whereas we'd like to believe that the votes that we may or may not cast in the real world affect, how the world is run or how the countries we live in run. We don't really have any verifiable proof that is what's happening behind the scenes. But should things run in a way where we use governance and we use consensus to, let's say, manage an election and the votes, then
Yes.
and how things were then, your funds and the taxes were distributed, using all of this technology together, we could really have something that A, made an impact in the world, and B, we could verify like what's going on. We could actually see everybody, and I say we, I mean everybody, because it's this
Yes.
public technology. But
Yes.
it gets very difficult to explain all of this in the first conversation to
Sure.
somebody who's coming into crypto.
Sure. And again, remember this video is meant to be an introduction. It's meant to kind of wet your whistle, if you would, and hopefully inspire you to do some of the research with the links that are down in the description.
Yeah.
Sonny, you've been amazing with this, but you touched on governance, and I'd like to expand on this because for those that watch the video with BC Port Corp, one of the things that we talked about there with regard to governance were DAOs. And I'll tell you what, I love the whole idea of DAOs. Again, I think they're still kind of in their infancy, I guess, with regard to how they're being used and deployed here. Not only, well, let's go with here in the space. Could you maybe share your thoughts about DAOs in particular, and maybe a little bit about the future of that? I know we're getting a little off track, but I think it's important so people understand the governance and consensus kind of idea.
Yes, I think DAOs, in the simplest way, is like I said before, it's empowering the people. It's empowering the people that are invested emotionally and financially into, we could say, into any aspect. If a project is using a DAO format or a DAO structure, what it means is it's allowing the people who are part of that project to use their stake to help vote on decisions that are happening for that particular project. I'm trying to keep it as broad as possible. We could use an example. Let's keep with the government. Why not? So we could use an example. If we were to all vote, and when we voted, we go back to this election that the hypothetical blockchain election that we're having. If everybody were to vote on chain, and when you voted, you got X amount of tokens for your vote. Now, these tokens that you hold, they give you the power to lobby Parliament, or to if you can collectively show that there's X amount of tokens that people collectively have voted on a particular topic or subject, we could at the basic form, we could have our own decentralized say in how things were run at a constitutional level.
Sure.
It can go way further than that, in the sense of we could take it to a point of even how the funds are spent to run and manage the country. You know, it's
It's so
again,
funny
it's
you
how
say that.
deep and how far do you want to take it, you know, but
It's so
it
funny
all
you say
comes.
that. If I can just tell you why, because again, Sonny doesn't know this. He hasn't seen any of the previous recordings. In that video I keep referencing with BC Port Corp, he literally took it to the government, just like you just did. And he
Yeah,
actually, like you're going down the road right now, he's like, well, maybe these people could decide where the money's spent. You know, maybe these people want to put it into a school DAO to improve schools. Maybe these people
yeah,
want to put it
yeah,
into a road DAO to, you know, make their
yeah,
roads better. And you're going
exactly.
down that very same road. I love
Exactly.
the fact that you
It's
guys are like on the same mindset. So thank you
I
very
think
much
you'll
for that.
find that. I think we'll find that through and throughout crypto, because this is what the people see this technology can do. It's you know, if I can see it and BC can see it and other people out there can see it, that's the real power behind crypto. That when we're
Yes.
looking at this, we can all see the problems that we have in real life, in the real life world. We can see the issues in front of us, and you know, there are many of them. So what
Right.
I believe is crypto and AI are giving us solutions to some of these problems. We can't say all yet, but I believe it's a best way that we've got to build some solutions that can make a difference.
Well, yes, a move in the right direction. A move in the right
Yeah.
direction. There were a couple of other things I'd like to touch on, and then honestly, I'll tell you what, I like this conversation we're having right now, and maybe we'll bring it back toward the end a little bit as we talk about maybe the future of
Okay.
blockchain technology. But a couple of things. You right now, as you've mentioned, are developing on Ethereum. One of the things that some people are confused by with regard to Ethereum, I guess, is
Yeah.
stuff like the gas fees. Could you
Okay.
maybe break that down a little bit, so if someone is just coming in and puts their
Yeah.
money in like you suggested, they understand that and can kind of wrap their head around that?
Has anybody ever paid a fee to a bank? This is because the banks are running their servers, these 10 server farms around the world that we discussed earlier. They have to pay for their electric, they have to pay for their upkeep, they have to pay for their staff. So the banks charge fees for doing that. They charge fees to the customers that are using the service. Now, if we're trying to get rid of the banks we're trying to get rid of the centralized entities from the situation, those fees still need to be paid. Somebody still, like, for running the network, be it with Bitcoin, be it the electricity fees, or there generally needs to be some upkeep for this network that we're using. And the mechanism that we use is everybody pays. If you're doing a transaction, if something's happening on the blockchain and you're transacting, you pay generally a very small fee that contributes to the full running of that network. So
Right.
the gas fees basically enable the network to be alive and running without the banks, without any central entity that has to pay for them or run them, so to speak.
And that was great. That was perfect. Listen, I've loved this conversation, Sonny, but we gotta move a little bit on further with regard to this. And
Okay.
I would like to know, because you've been developing now in this space for a long time, what are some of the challenges that you face as a developer?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say probably primarily is just trying to keep up with everything. The space moves so fast now that there are developments happening every day. That's just being able to keep up and keep on top of everything is a bit of a challenge. But the challenge, I would definitely say, is reduce. Like, in the sense of when I started developing back in 2017, that was challenging. I remember a time where, there was a handful of DApp developers. You could probably count them on your hands how many teams there were out there actually developing dApps. Early days in Ethereum, and I would say it was definitely more difficult then. Now with AI, with tools, with everything that we have to help us learn, it's I think it's definitely an easier thing to do now than it was back then. The
Now,
space is progressing, technology is progressing, so
yeah, no, I get it. And you're right. That's a good point about AI. I honestly didn't even think about that. Do you see that as a complement to developers, or do you see it replacing developers?
mm, I don't see it replacing developers, and
Okay.
100% it's a complement.
Okay.
If you it's like liken it, I suppose, a little bit to an artist. You can generate anything that you want with AI art at the minute, but the human has to have the inspiration to type what it is that it wants to
Right.
create. Do you know what I mean? So we as people, even if we're using AI to generate something, we're still explaining to the AI our vision, what it is that we want to put out there. So I think that's the same for development. There are like AIs that can code, but they don't know
Yes.
what to code. Do you see what I mean? They don't know what to
Yeah, no,
code.
fair enough.
You have to tell them, what to code. And I work myself as a developer. I work with other developers, and I work with AI development as well for certain tasks. And I look at the AI developers and I look at the human developers, and I'm like, wow, these AI developers, they can code. It's not, you know, you can't. Obviously, I think it's a tool. It's definitely a
Yes.
tool. And as a developer, I feel like if you're not on board with the latest technology and how things are moving, even as a developer, you're going to get left behind. As a developer, are you going to sit there and write 700 lines of code for just a simpler application, something that's menial in the project but requires you to write 700 lines of code? Or are you going to
Sure.
explain that to an AI and have the AI spurt out 700 lines of code in 30 seconds for you? Like it's that
Sadly, it's about 30 seconds, probably.
it's
Yeah.
it's that's that's the truth of it. So it's like, as a developer, do I want to be, oh, I'm old school, I don't want to do this. I liken it to when we had records and CDs came out. There was a big thing about people thinking that the audio is different for CDs from when we're listening to it on records. So are you going to dismiss the whole technology of CDs, which is now developed to MP4s and MP3s? And it's like, where do you stop and where do you get off? I love technology, so I don't want to get off. I want to be at the front and at the pinnacle of what's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on,
Leading the way.
and not leading the way, but at least understanding and being there. If we can lead
Okay.
the way, that'd be a bonus. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I don't know. Some of the stuff you've got going in the space, I do think you're leading the way. That's,
thank you.
again,
I
my
appreciate
personal
that.
opinion. Personal
Appreciate
opinion.
that.
All right. Well, you're talking a lot about the future, and that's the next question I was going to give you. So let's kind of go that way.
Okay.
What do you see as the future for blockchain technology? And I guess I'd like to, if you can integrate it. You mentioned about keeping up with the technology. To that end, like, you deploy a smart contract on a blockchain, and again, an entire video coming about smart contracts. Okay, guys, so bear with. But you deploy that. That's it. It's deployed. It's out there. How do you reconcile that with continuing into the future, and what do you see as the future?
That's another very broad question. What do we see as the future of?
Well,
I see.
and I mean it to
No,
be broad, but
yeah.
you're in the development piece, so I kind
Okay.
of think you have that kind of inspiration, you know?
I'll break it as a complete broad answer. I see it as a vehicle or a tool that's going to help us make the world a better place. That's my broad answer to the question of what is crypto and what is blockchain technology going to give to the world. On a small level, to break that down even further, like we were discussing earlier, through these examples that we use, the school book and the banks and the decentral,
Yes.
it's all of those things combined that build this whole ecosystem that we have that's cryptocurrency. The power of all of those things coming together is a new world. The only way I can describe the future is to example or reference things that me and you have seen in the past. Maybe the whole audience watching haven't, but there was a time before the internet. There was a time that you'll remember before the internet came out, and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
there was a time after the internet, and it really did change the world.
Oh,
And
that's
I
true.
think we're on the cusp of now the same thing happening, but the change this time is cryptocurrency and AI. The two things combining together, giving us, the knowledge and giving us the power to affect change in very, very small ways all around the world, all of us together. Do you see what I mean? Like it's a big,
Yeah.
gigantic task to try and affect a change in the world. But if many people are trying in even any kind of small way together, that's that collective power that cryptocurrency gives us. So
Uh,
I think the future's bright. I think there's
that's a
lots of
great
developments.
analogy, man. You again, he's just bringing it today. I'll tell you what, Sonny,
Just
that's
speak from
awesome.
the heart. That's all it is. Just speak from the
Well,
heart.
keep doing that, brother. Keep doing that.
No, you're
All right.
welcome.
I got one more question and then we'll kind of wrap this thing up.
Okay.
If someone who's listening to this video has been inspired by you speaking from the heart and they're like, man, I see that future. I want to be part of that future. And they're thinking, I want to be a developer. What would you give them? What advice would you give them? Like as they're stepping in and trying to go forward with it?
That's a difficult question. I would say to somebody who wants to be a developer now, have a mission, have a reason, a mission, something that you're trying to achieve that will make you proud of what you've done. If you have that, whatever you do, you'll start the path to learning, to educate yourself, to do what it is to achieve that goal.
That's a
But
great answer.
without a mission, I think many people can just get lost.
Well, and I guess unfortunately, because of the way you explain that, a lot of people when they attack something, like trying to learn something, that's how they do it. It's kind of like that pepper the shotgun approach, where they're just like, okay, I got to learn this, I got to learn this, I got to learn this, I got to
Yeah,
learn this.
it's
But you're right.
unfortunately to speak kind of crudely about it. Generally, the mission tends to be, I got to make money. So
Yeah,
if
no
if
facts.
if if I'm coming into development, how does it turn into me becoming a millionaire? There's a lot of that in the development space. And listen, I'm not trying to say that developers shouldn't make money or they shouldn't earn from their work.
Of
Of course,
course.
I'm a developer, but I think everybody needs to. I think what you're doing should help the space, or I think you should believe in what you're doing, and you should believe that what you're doing is helping the space. And then
Believe
whatever
in
your
you.
mission, whatever your project, it should be successful, hopefully.
That's I love that because honestly, that's what motivates me to continue making these educational videos is
Yeah,
that I believe that this is part of the future. This is what's going to change society. But in order to do that, we need to enlighten people on the not only the technology, but what money
yeah.
is and how they can use it to shape their future. So you're
Again,
speaking to me,
100%
Sonny.
agree.
You're speaking to me.
100% agree. The thing, and I think that the thing I found is to inspire that is you've got to show people how it affects the world that they live in. Give them the real
Yes.
world example. From there, maybe it's down to them then how much people want to be a part of it or want to look into it or want to learn. There's some people that bought Bitcoin, they don't learn anything. They
Yep.
don't, and they hold it for 5 years and they look at their account and it's all done.
Yep. Yep.
They're
Yeah. It's all
happy.
about the NGU. Yep. Yep.
So
Exactly.
it's all on the individual how much they want to dive in, but it's there for you if you do want to dive in. It's definitely there for you, and it's interesting.
Excellent. Sonny, listen, I'll tell you what, this has been a great talk, and I hope everyone has gotten a lot of great information and inspiration out of this talk, to be quite frank. But let's bring it together, and I'll give you the floor to end it off. What final thoughts would you have with regard to blockchain, cryptocurrency, whatever you want to go? You have been great, so you decide where you want to take the end of this. Go ahead.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think I'm going to reiterate things. Most of the people, I think, that are watching the stream at the minute already have their crypto, and I think that for the new people that don't, put the 50 in. It'll change your life. Just that little 50. That's the first thing I would say. Because if you don't start, if you don't ever start, then
You're
you're never
right.
going to get anywhere. So
Yep.
that's the first step. And then to finish it off, I think just shout out the people in the chat. I know Jesse's here. I know a few people. I know this is pre-recorded, but I know Jesse. I know Jesse's here. I know a couple other people. So just shout out everybody and Joe. Appreciate the community.
Yes.
BC.
Yes. Yeah, the community is great. And you know what? That's another video. I'll just put it out here. You got to find your people, man. You got to find your people.
100%.
And
100%.
for those who are looking for a good community of people, again, links to all Sonny's information is in the description. He has a good community. Now, sometimes I'm gonna put the warning out there. Sometimes it gets a little bit raw and real with the conversation. But you want to know what?
100%.
If you appreciate that,
Yeah.
and I do, that's what kept me in his community, because there was no sugarcoating it. It was straight out. That's what it was. And
we need the facts. We need the facts. That's what it comes down to. So shout out everybody. And K Diggity, I didn't forget about you, bro. Shout out to my fanboy too.
Yes. Again, thank you, Sonny, for being here. I really appreciate it. Sonny's going to be coming back. We're going to talk smart contracts. He's going to come back. We're going to talk some NFTs, that kind of thing. But those are future videos, so watch for those. Sonny, thanks a lot. I appreciate you being here, my friend, and I look forward to getting you back here.
You're welcome, man. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate everybody in the community, man. Take care.
So what did you think about that video? I'll tell you what, Sonny always speaks from the heart. He has been around this space for so long. I love being part of his community. Make sure that you're checking out his community. The links are in the description. Don't miss out. Lots of good people there. All right. The education needs to continue. And to do that, head on over to this video right here. And I will see you there.